Is 2.5 years too soon to make a new version of a video you've already made? Probably not in internet time, but I still felt a little strange making this video. There's a joke about Sony to be made somewhere here. But looking back, I kinda just don't like that original Mario Baseball 3 vid. Like, it was my first video, and I've since gotten better recording and editing tools, but there were still some problems with it. The main issue was that it was just kinda long and boring, but it goes deeper than that. I scripted an entire segment where I talked about a story mode, but then just at the last second decided not to talk about it. So when I talked about challenge mode, it really felt slapped together. Because it was. I also just for some reason did Peach so dirty in that video, and I don't know why. The video also had that angry Mario fan thing that was popular at the time going on. While I still hold that Mario Strikers Battle League is incredibly disappointing, it's not like it's the worst game ever or anything. And Mario Golf Super Rush isn't even that bad. I don't know what I was going on about. Well, it's been some time, and I keep getting the itch to make a new video about Mario Baseball, so why not? Join me if you will as I try a second time to talk about what I'd do for a third Mario Baseball game. This is Super Mario Switch Hitters. Alright, first thing I'm going to talk about are the modes, because this ought to be quick. Exhibition, Challenge Mode, Toy Field, Training Mode, Minigames, they're all here, as well as the ability to see options and records. It would also make a lot of sense if they had an online mode this time around. Whether or not it be stable or work all that well is an entirely different story, of course. Speaking of stories, challenge mode in this game would be much more like its incarnation in Mario Sluggers, where it was a full-on adventure mode, rather than the weird, almost arcade ladder-y version of it that was in Superstar. I considered having both versions of challenge mode in this game as separate modes, but the one from Superstar would probably be vastly overshadowed by the story mode type of challenge, unless you made it an actual straight-up arcade ladder, which, to be fair, you could use as an option for getting character stars. In the previous video, I brought up including the dictionary, which was exclusive to the Japanese version of Mario Superstar Baseball. I don't know if it's going to be entirely necessary because the challenge mode in Super Sluggers actually teaches you a bunch of niche baseball terminology and how it works. A fact I conveniently forgot about when I said that challenge mode in Super Sluggers doesn't teach you all that much. Ideally, the game would be made with a basic control setup in mind, but you'd still be able to use motion controls with the Joy-Cons. Also, seriously, button to change fielders, please and thank you. Last thing I'll say about the basic gameplay before we head into the roster is star swings, buddy moves, error items, and mercy rules should all be toggleable. I considered making close plays toggleable, but they aren't the most intrusive mechanic, so for the sake of this video, they're going to be on by default. Alright, time to talk roster. I'm going a bit more in depth this time as I list off every character on every team. Not going over each individual stat meticulously, of course, but I'll show who's who and what they can do.
Ooh,
taking a page from Freezing Climber's video on this same topic, which, if you like this video, you should watch, it's pretty good. I'm going to have this handy-dandy stat card showing off character proficiencies and abilities. Also, I'm going to be sticking to the same rules as I did last time. Everyone returns from Sluggers with one big exception, but we'll talk about that when we talk about that. 14 is the maximum number of characters a team can have, a rule that will hopefully prevent the roster from becoming too disorganized or bloated, and I'm sticking exclusively to characters who exist within Mario's universe. No Zelda, no Splatoon, no Animal Crossing. Not that I'm against the occasional guest character in a Mario spin-off, but in moderation. But if you're wondering, balance, power, speed, balance, pitching, speed, power, fielding, and balance. And they'd probably also all be wearing baseball uniforms. Alright, that's enough rules. Let's get into the roster now. Starting off with Mario himself, and his team, the Mario Fireballs. Mario still has his classic star moves. Fireball is a crazy fast, but mostly straightforward pitch. And Fire Swing is a burning line drive that lights up anyone who touches it. As for his ability, you may notice that I changed it back to Wall Jump. Spring off the wall to get some extra height and catch a ball that's maybe going a little bit too high. If we're making buddy moves toggleable, I think we can justify this ability still being around. Naturally, Mario's co-captain would be his brother Luigi. I know a lot of fan concepts have Luigi break off from Mario and be the captain of his own team, but honestly, I've never been a big fan of that idea. I love Luigi, but I don't know, it just kind of feels wrong having anyone but him be Mario's co-captain. Co-captains would still have their own team names, and Luigi's would once again be the Luigi Knights. Luigi is also getting a new set of star moves. Lightning Ball is a zigzagging pitch with a tricky timing. To keep it from being too predictable, the direction and timing of the zigzags could vary each time you use the move. Kinda like how the egg ball worked in Mario Superstar Baseball. Lightning Swing would pop the ball up into the air before it hits the ground, creating an electric shockwave that knocks over anyone who doesn't jump over it. However, if the ball is caught before it hits the ground, it shocks the fielder who caught it, stunning them in place for a short time. Even if Luigi gets out, his teammates have a chance to get to the next base. Luigi's fielding ability would be the Super Jump. Characters with this ability have the ability to... Yeah, they would have the ability, wouldn't they?
Did you know that friendship is the strongest bond between two friends?
Characters with this ability would get a much higher jump than other fielders. I think this ability, as well as the laser beam throw, got nerfed in Sluggers, probably to emphasize the usefulness of buddy moves, but that doesn't make a ton of sense to me, considering even in their original forms, it's not like these abilities would step on the toes of the buddy moves. If anything, it's the other way around. So I'd say bring these abilities back to their former strength, especially if we're going to have buddy moves be toggleable. Speaking of the laser beam throw ability, the first non-captain characters on Mario's team would be the Piantes, coming in blue, pink, and yellow varieties. Big heavy hitters that can't run that fast, but they do have the ability Laser Beam. Throw the ball to home plate while someone is running for it, and the throw will have heavily increased speed. On the opposite side of the same coin, we have the Nokis, coming in blue, green, and red varieties. They can't hit very hard, but they can run pretty fast, and they have the ability Super Dive. Just like how Super Jump gives the fielder increased jump height, Super Dive gives the fielder an increased range on their sliding catch. Monty Mole is another speedy little guy, this one having the Ball Dash ability. If Monty Mole grabs hold of the ball while fielding, he'll get a major increase in his running speed, perfect for tagging out any base runners. Rounding out the returning Mario Fireballs is Blooper, with his Ink Dive ability. Should Blooper win in a close play, he'll jump up and spray the opponent with ink, disorienting them and knocking them down in the process. I should probably talk about the change I've made to close plays, shouldn't I? See, in Sluggers, if the defense wins a close play, the base runner gets out. That much is staying the same. If the offense wins a close play, they do a little animation that knocks out the baseman, which not only gets the close playing runner onto the base, but frees up some extra time for the rest of the base runners to get their bearings because it leaves the ball out in the open. Every character gets this, except for characters who have specific base running abilities that give them unique close play animations. Some characters like Mario and the Wigglers still knock out the baseman, but others like Dry Bones and Boo don't. So it's actually worse in this instance when the character specifically has an ability tailor-made for close plays. I think it's been said that players with close play abilities have more leniency when it comes to pressing the wrong button in a close play, but I have no idea if that's true or not. And also, it's never going to be as noticeable as any of the abilities you get from fielding. The way I'm changing it is that characters with no close play abilities are the ones who simply get onto the base and don't knock out the baseman. Any character who does have a close play ability will knock out the baseman, so they get the advantage of knocking down a fielder and having them drop the ball. There's two more characters on Mario's team, and both of them are brand new additions to the roster. The first up, Il Piantissimo, a cut too deep? Most likely, but as long as Mario's team is going to have that sunshine theme to it, he fits in pretty well, especially given that he's an athletic character. But if Piantissimo is too much of a deep cut, then the next character is someone a lot less obscure, although probably a lot less Mario Sunshine themed. It's King Babam. It feels right to have him be playable in this game, especially after his appearance in Mario Golf Super Rush. And Mario's team seemed like a good enough place to put him. Well, that rounds out Mario's team. Moving on to Peach's team, the Peach Monarchs. Peach herself is mostly the same. She still has the same star pitch, Heart Ball, turning the ball invisible for a brief moment, but I changed her star swing to work like it did in the first game. Heart Swing will cause the ball to, once again, turn invisible, up until it hits the ground. While fielding, Peach has the ability Quick Throw. not only allowing her to throw the ball quicker than most fielders, but making the ball travel faster after she throws it. Daisy is our next co-captain, and captain of the Daisy Queen Bees. The Princess of Sarasaland is pretty much exactly the same as she was in the previous game, same star moves and all. Flower Ball may be a very slow-moving pitch, but if you hit it, the ball will slowly float through the air, making it pretty much a guaranteed out. Flower Swing will cause a small garden of flowers to sprout up around wherever the ball lands, making it very hard to catch. Beyond the two captains, we of course have the Toads. All 5 of them. Red, blue, yellow, green, and purple. Their ability is called Enlarge. If they win in a close play, they'll grow to gigantic size and crush the baseman. And of course, there's also Toadette. And Toadsworth.
I keep having this nagging feeling that I've forgotten something.
Hey, if you forgot it, it probably wasn't all that important.
Yeah, I guess.
Toadsworth has the ability Super Catch. Characters with this ability are incapable of accidentally dropping the ball. We'll also be keeping Petey Piranha on Peach's team. It's a funny bit having this giant hulking monster on a team with otherwise very cute characters, and it does give the team a pretty good heavy hitter. Petey's ability is called Piranha Catch. If you press A near the ball instead of diving for it, Petey will actually snap to it. The first newcomer I'm adding to Peach's team is Nabbit, who is a character I wanted to add in the first video but forgot to. Why put him on Peach's team? I guess I'm just kind of making up for the fact that I didn't add anyone new to this team last time. And it does kind of fit with him being playable in Mario Wonder. Speaking of Mario Wonder, I probably could have added a bunch of colored poplins onto the team, but I just cut to the chase and added Prince Florian instead. Prince Florian brings the ability Vine Catch. Instead of simply diving for the ball, he can use one of those vine grappling hook things in order to catch it from a distance. He'd probably have to be a little bit bigger than he is in his home game in order to fit on the roster, but I don't think it would look that weird if he were, say, a little smaller than Baby Mario. Speaking of Baby Mario, the Yoshi Islanders. Yoshi himself is pretty much identical to how he was in Super Sluggers, except you can't change his color anymore. I'm removing the colored Yoshis, I'm sorry. Not that I don't like them, but if I'm going to be keeping up with that 14 characters rule, they're gonna have to go. Maybe instead of full-on color variations, Yoshi can change colors whenever he uses his special moves, like he does in Mario Power Tennis. Or maybe instead of them being separate characters, you can still choose the color variation for Yoshi, but there's still only one Yoshi. As for those special moves, Yoshi's star pitch is called Rainbow Ball, a pitch that throws a dazzling rainbow. Your opponents will be so distracted by it, they won't even notice when the ball comes by. Yoshi's star swing is called Egg Swing. Yoshi turns the ball into an egg that bounces around sporadically before it turns back to normal. Yoshi's fielding ability is the Tongue Catch. Yoshi does what he does best and uses his tongue to catch something. Birdo is Yoshi's co-captain and captain of the Birdo Bows. Birdo herself is also just like she was in Sluggers, star moves and all. Her star pitch, Suction Ball, do I really have to call it that, throws a pitch that gets pulled back slightly before going the full distance. Cannon Swing shoots out a weird egg that bounces ahead of the ball and knocks over anyone it comes into contact with. Birdo's fielding ability is called the Suction Catch. It's just like Yoshi's Tongue Catch, but with a Birdo flair to it. We could also probably give Birdo the same color-changing treatment as Yoshi. I mean, colored Birdos have been in the background of both of these games now, so why not? Not really a big surprise, but the reason I'm cutting all of the colored Yoshis off of the team is so that I can put all of the baby characters on here instead. Baby Mario, Baby Luigi, Baby Peach, Baby Daisy, Baby Donkey Kong with the Clamor ability. If you have this ability and jump at the wall, you can start climbing. Good for catching pop flies. And newcomer Baby Wario, who would have the ability Magnet Catch. Using his toy magnet, he can catch the ball from a distance. I mean, the magnet is already in Mario Sluggers, so yeah, we'll include it here. Yeah, I know comprising the team almost entirely of the baby characters is probably not the best choice, especially considering they're widely considered some of the worst characters across both games. But a team with a heavy focus on chemistry could actually work pretty well. Whether that means they get a ton of error items, or it does the Superstar Baseball thing where your batter gets a small increase in stats for every character with chemistry on the bases. Or, you could just give the baby characters better stats, that could also work. Moving past the babies, there's also, of course, the returning Shy Guys. Red, blue, yellow, green, and black. Or gray, whichever one they decide to go with. Completely unchanged. They are perfect after all. And Wiggler, a heavy hitter who has a surprising amount of speed. Wiggler's ability is called Anger Dive. If you win in a close play, Wiggler gets steamed up and barrels through his opponent like a freight train. Leader of the bunch, king of the jungle, bane of Hawaiian shirt enthusiasts the world over, it's Donkey Kong, captain of the DK Wilds. DK is once again mostly unchanged from Sluggers, except for his new design. The star moves though, those are completely the same. Barrel Ball has DK chuck a huge barrel down the pitcher's mound, not exactly the easiest thing to hit. Barrel Swing has DK throw the barrel outwards into the field. Even if you catch it, it's a big frickin' barrel. Also, it goes without saying, but he still bats with his boxing glove. We also have our co-captain Diddy Kong, captain of the Diddy Kong Rockets. Same ability, same star moves. Banana Ball throws the ball in a wicked boomerang curve, and Banana Swing has the ball move in a similar banana-shaped curve. Returning from the previous games, we also have Dixie Kong, Funky Kong, and Tiny Kong. And, new to this game, Cranky Kong. Not only one of the more popular Kongs, but one who still gets a decent amount of use at a Nintendo these days. And with his recent appearance in the Mario movie, feels more likely than ever that he'll finally get to appear in a Mario spin-off. He should bat with his cane, that would be funny. And don't worry, we're still bringing back the Kremlings. Starting with King K. Rool himself, Smash Bros. Brought him back to his classic design, so I assume they'd stick with that over that weird Pharaoh outfit they gave him in Super Sluggers. You could also make him bat with a boxing glove, but for now I'll stick with the scepter. Then of course we have the critters. Green, red, blue, and brown. No big changes there. They come with the ability Keeper Catch. Much like Petey Piranha with his Piranha Catch, the critter will snap to the ball rather than diving for it. Alright, it's Wario's turn, and he's brought with him a brand new team, the Wario Treasures. Wario's Star Pitch Phony Ball throws 2 baseballs, one real and one fake. Which one is the real one? Well, you better decide soon, because they're both coming at you. Also, like in Superstar Baseball, they wouldn't be normal baseballs, they'd instead be these weird Nerf foam football looking things. What are these? Phony Swing would have Wario bat a bomb onto the field, which explodes upon contact with the ground, or another player. To help it stand out from the Bob-omb error item, I made the bomb a little bit more Wario-themed. Every double-dealing do-batter needs a partner in crime, and for Wario, that's Waluigi, who also stands as captain of the Waluigi Wizards. His star throw, Liar Ball, has him throw a huge, slow-moving baseball towards the batter. But it's a trick. You've been deceived, didn't you read the name? Liar! The real ball will slip right past you if you're not careful. The star swing, Liar Swing, has Waluigi hit the ball low to the ground before it moves in an L-shaped angle. Even if you get a hold of it, it moves around so wildly that it drags the fielder around for a bit as they try to corral it into their glove. Looks like Waluigi's such a bad influence that even inanimate objects turn sour around him. Much like how DK got a bunch of Donkey Kong Country characters on his team in Sluggers, I wanted to give Wario's team a bunch of characters from his own games. Since making that original video, I learned that there may or may not be some kind of rule in place that's preventing the WarioWare cast from showing up in Mario spin-offs, but the idea of putting a bunch of WarioWare characters on a Mario baseball team is too tempting for me to pass up. It was basically what inspired me to make that original video. So, that's what we're going to be doing here. The first of these WarioWare characters is going to be Mona, of course. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like Mona has the potential to someday be in a Mario spin-off. Especially since, and maybe I'm just looking too deep into things, it seems like the WarioWare games are kind of starting to portray her as Wario's second in command. But the sports-loving Jimmy T would also make a lot of sense to have on a Mario baseball roster. He'll probably be busting out all kinds of funky moves to help his team win. Next up would be Cat. Ninjas are known for being speedy, so she'd probably be one heck of a base runner. Unfortunately, in order to keep the roster from becoming too full, I did have to leave some characters off, which means that Anna won't be joining her sister for this outing. Likewise, Dribble is also going to be riding solo this time around. With King Boo off the team, Wario would be the only heavy hitter here. Luckily, Dribble could more than likely fill that role pretty well. We also gotta have 9V, not only because of his popularity, but there'd definitely be some funny interactions with him finally getting to meet Mario and the gang. I think his bat should also be based on the old Ultra Machine toy, that'd be funny. 9V would also come with the ability Yo-Yo Catch. With his sick yo-yo skills, the boy can catch a faraway baseball before it lands. Next up would be Dr. Krygor, who would probably play a little better on defense, like Waluigi. I do like that theory that Waluigi and Krygor are related. And then there's Orbulon. He wouldn't be too fast or too strong, I mean, just look at him, but he'd have some of the most control of his pitch curve out of anyone in the cast. He'd also come with the ability Teleport to catch. Why dive for the ball when you can simply teleport to it? Of course, I'd also be completely remiss to not include Ashley on this roster, the WarioWare character who's most likely to appear in a Mario spin-off at some point. I mean, she definitely seems to be Nintendo's favorite out of them, and a fan favorite, for better or for worse. She would use her staff in order to pitch, bat, and use the magic catch ability. Catching a ball is a lot more impressive when you do it with magic powers. Does this also mean that she's swinging around her friend Red in order to hit speeding baseballs? Yes, but I don't think that fact bothers her very much. The last of the WarioWare characters I'm adding is Young Cricket, who I'm marking down as a balanced character because it honestly feels like he could be proficient in any of the 4 stats. But I guess that is the mark of a skilled martial artist. So Wario does actually have a lot of friends, but he also has plenty of enemies as well. Who would have guessed? Seems his most famous, or infamous, arch-nemesis, Captain Syrup, has stowed away on the roster as well. Hey, the Wario Land games need some love too, and it'd be cool to have another villain character on the roster. Bad chemistry with Wario, of course. And also Mario and Peach, perhaps? But surprisingly good chemistry with Waluigi. Wonder if there's anything going on there. Captain Syrup could also probably be friends with the Kremlings, considering they always seem to have pirate stuff going on with them. Alright, I know that it's super unrealistic for this to be Wario's team, and if this were the roster, they would be the only team without a color variant character. For the sake of having fun, I'm still going to refer to this team as Wario's team, but if you want a more realistic take, swap out 4 of the WarioWare characters with 4 colored bandits. Blue, red, green, and purple. I really like the bandits, but I couldn't find a great place for them on this roster. Yoshi's team was already filled up. In an alternate reality, they'd be on the roster as Captain Syrup's followers, but in this timeline it wasn't meant to be. But that's enough about these goofballs. What about the characters who just got kicked off of Wario's team? Well, that's where we get to our first all-new team, the Pauline Odysseys. It's kind of funny to think about Pauline's absolutely meteoric rise in prominence since Mario Odyssey. Mario Kart, Mario Tennis, Mario Golf, Mario Party. Yeah, she'd be here too. Her star pitch would be called Songbird Ball. The rhythm is so swinging that even the ball swings back and forth before it gets to the catcher. Her star swing would be called Songbird Swing. Pauline hits a sort of line drive that stuns anyone it comes into contact with. Just like Peach's Heart Swing from Mario Sluggers, but since it's music themed this time, it can affect everyone. There's no girls rule this time. That was a joke. I'm being facetious. Pauline's co-captain is Cappy, captain of the Cappy Top Hats. That was a mouthful. On the complete flip side of Pauline, Cappy has appeared in almost nothing since Super Mario Odyssey. A fact that I had a hard time believing at first, but no, it do be true. Besides Mario Odyssey, his only in-person appearance has been in Smash Ultimate. Well, with a roster this big and varied, we're definitely including him here. Cappy's star pitch would be called Spiral Ball. He throws a pitch that swerves back and forth before it reaches the catcher, making it pretty much a copy of Luigi's Tornado Ball from Sluggers, and maybe you could even say Luigi taught him that one. Cappy's star swing, Spiral Swing, has a very similar effect, causing the ball to swerve back and forth as it goes out into the field. After Cappy, I would put his sister Tiara on the team. I wouldn't worry about them being too similar in stats, because if they can make Diddy Kong and Dixie Kong different characters, then this should work out fine too. Speaking of characters who were on the same team as Dixie Kong, Goomba, this time wearing a fancy top hat. Paragoomba, this time wearing a classy bowler hat. Koopa Troopas, both red and green, wearing snazzy backwards baseball caps, and coming with the ability Spin Attack. Winning a close play with these guys will cause them to spin wildly in their shells, knocking out any baseman who would dare stand in their way. And Paratroopas, green and red, this time wearing cute little pith helmets. But if the team is going to be called the Pauline Odysseys, then I feel like it's important to have some creatures from Odyssey on there. First up, the Toasterenians, or Toasterenins, I'm not entirely sure. Probably the most iconic friendly NPCs in Odyssey. They'd come in 2 varieties, blue and green. I think making them bat with their maracas could also be a cute touch. As for another Mario Odyssey NPC, we'd have the Lock Ladies, the mermaids from the Lake Kingdom. coming in blue and red variants. I was torn between either them or the Shivarians because I really like the Shivarians, but with the former it's easier to get color variants, whereas the latter would probably be harder to discern colors on. I could put Shivarian on the empty 14th character slot, but I was saving that slot for Chargin' Chuck. Considering the sports theme with these guys, I'm honestly kinda surprised they aren't in more Mario sports spin-offs. Given that they know how to play baseball, they could comfortably fit on this roster, and Pauline's team seemed like a good enough place to put them. Chargin' Chuck's ability is called Charge Tackle, another close play ability, this one letting Charlie here do a full body tackle to knock out the opposing quarterback. Or baseman. Well, that's the Goombas and Koopas safely reloaded. Safely relocated. A second time. But what about Boo and King Boo? Well, King Boo is getting quite the glow up here, being promoted to captain of his own team, the King Boo Spirits. I would have said stick with his Mario spin-off design, given that that's the one that Mario Baseball uses, but then I realized I designed his logo to look like his Luigi's Mansion crown, so I guess his mansion design is what we're going with. And now that he's a captain, he gets his own star moves. His Star Pitch, Spectral Ball, and his Star Swing, Spectral Swing, both cause the ball to move in a corkscrew motion. Shouldn't be too easy to hit or catch. King Boo's ability is called Terrify. Winning a close play will allow him to disappear for a brief moment, before he pops back up right in the opponent's face, giving them one heck of a jump scare.
Okay, so the first night is never usually that bad in any of the games, so I'll play through.
I also considered giving this ability to Ashley, but decided Magical Catch worked better for her. And, of course, the biggest and most important change to make, give him the funny little crown on his bat back. Look at this, they took it out in Sluggers. Completely unplayable. Where do they even get off selling this game to the public? Finally making a playable debut, Professor E. Gadd takes the role of King Boo's co-captain, as well as captain of the Gadd Engineers. I mean, it'd be worth it to have him in this game just for this running animation.
Look at him! Oh, he's great! Look at the way he runs!
Professor E. Gadd's Star Pitch, Gadget Ball, throws a ball straight down the middle, but it'll teleport to one side just as it reaches the batter. E. Gadd's Star Swing, Gadget Swing, has him pop the ball up into the air before it splits into two. The real ball, and a fake one that'll stun whoever catches it. This is basically a copy of Wario and Waluigi's Star Swings from Superstar Baseball. Regular Boo also came back as part of this team. No one says boo like a boo, and so he also gets the Terrify ability. Other than that, he's pretty much completely unchanged. Moving past him, I'm also going to be adding the Gold Ghost from the first Luigi's Mansion onto the team, who would have pink and blue color alts to reference the other two main ghost types in the first Luigi's Mansion. But instead of calling them Gold Ghost, Pink Gold Ghost, and Blue Gold Ghost, they would probably be called the Gold, Pink, and Blue Grunt Ghosts. If I'm adding ghosts from the first Luigi's Mansion onto this team, I may as well throw a bone to the sequels as well. And look who brought it back. It's Polterpup. If Goombas can pilot drones and Chain Chomps can play tennis, then there's no reason a ghost dog can't play baseball. Is it taboo to give the tongue catch to a character other than Yoshi? I mean, come on, shouldn't the dog be good at retrieving a baseball? Alright, I know it's probably pretty unrealistic to expect any of the actual character ghosts to show up in this, but I wanted to give some love to Luigi's Mansion 3 without having to use the generic ghost designs from that game. I just don't like them. However, I do think it would make a lot of sense for Helen Gravely to be on King Boo's team, especially seeing as she was, for all intents and purposes, the main antagonist of Luigi's Mansion 3. Even though she's probably the character I have the hardest time imagining running around and jumping to catch a baseball. Is that just me? I'm also going to add Morty. I know I just talked about it being unrealistic to expect the character ghosts to be on here, but I think if he was here, he'd be a funny oddball pick. And you know what? I'm even going to put Gooigi on the roster. Think of it as representation for Luigi's Mansion 3DS. Gooigi would be fun to have here just for the sake of his animations. Instead of tripping, he would dissolve into a bunch of little droplets. He would hold objects inside of his chest like he does in Luigi's Mansion 3. And if he gets beamed by the pitcher, he would start wobbling around uncontrollably. Oh, and for the final teammate on King Boo's team, Peepa. They're fairly prominent in modern Mario stuff, so they can be here too. Our last new team is the Rosalina Galaxies. No surprise that Rosalina's on the roster, right? Her star pitch, Comet Ball, has the ball pause for a brief moment before it blasts off at full speed. Her star swing, Comet Swing, has the ball travel in one direction before it changes course and goes to another. Think of it like a cross between Diddy Kong and Waluigi's star swings. I went with Lubba as the co-captain because he seemed like the best fit for that. He would also be captain of the Lubba starships. You can really see my waning interest with that team icon, can't you? Oh, well, that's a little better, I guess. His star pitch, Starbit ball, has him throw out a bunch of starbits everywhere, with the ball being hidden amongst them. His star swing, Starbit swing, has the ball scatter a bunch of damaging starbits when it hits the ground. Of course, the regular Lumas would also appear as teammates. Yellow, blue, green, red, and white. They'd have the ability Shooting Star, another close play ability. This one allows the Lumas to dash forward like, well, a shooting star. Unlike last time where I included the worker bees, I'm putting the Honey Queen herself on this team. Obviously shrunken down a bit from her normal size. Gives the team a much needed heavy hitter. That frees up 2 different character slots, which I'm going to be giving to the Whittles. Why did I say it like that? They seem to be pretty popular among fans, and they have appeared in Mario spin-off stuff previously, so I can include them here. The 2 variants would have different head shapes, and probably a small change in color to help differentiate them. Guess you could call these spring and fall variants. Then there's Blue Penguin and Black Penguin, or again, Gray Penguin if that's what they want to go with. Penguins like this have stuck around with the series since Mario 64, and were even recently important enough to get a role in the Mario movie. I put them here on Rosalina's team because the penguins were also pretty prominent in the Mario Galaxy games. Lastly for this team, I pulled yet another deep cut. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, the Chimp. Anyone remember the Chimp? Just like with Piantissimo, this guy might be a bit too obscure to include, but given his athletic nature, you could probably justify an inclusion on a sports roster, right? Finally, we come to our last team, the Bowser Monsters, led by King Bowser himself. Killer Ball is a pitch that throws a bullet bill, which loops once before it reaches the batter. And Flame Swing has Bowser shoot out a bunch of fireballs that bounce in front of the ball. Yeah, Bowser himself is not that much different from last time. Likewise, Bowser Jr., captain of the Junior Masks, is also largely the same. Still bats with his paintbrush, still has the same star moves. Graffiti Ball, which throws a pitch while the screen is covered in paint, and Graffiti Swing, which leaves a puddle of paint where the ball lands that trips up opponents. In Sluggers, characters who float actually aren't affected by this puddle, so we might actually need to change up this star swing to accommodate for the amount of floating characters I've added to this roster. Besides them, the rest of Bowser's henchmen return to the team. The Magic Koopas, blue, red, yellow, and green. The Hammer Bro, who has the ability Hammer Throw, where he can throw his hammer to catch a ball from a distance, as well as Boomerang Bro and Fire Bro, who have their own reskinned versions of this ability, as well as the Dry Bones. Regular, green, blue, and dark bones. Where did this design even come from? They would have the ability Scatter Dive. If you win a close play with them, they'll scatter into a bunch of pieces that all attack the baseman. Just try to avoid that, it's like a living shotgun blast of bones. And my band has a new name. One last character to add before we leave Bowser's team, and that's Boom Boom. An obvious choice, yes, but he would make a perfect heavy hitter for Bowser's team. Bowser's team isn't the end of the roster though, because we also have the Koopalings. Larry, Roy, Lemmy, Iggy, Wendy, Morton, and Ludwig. They would be here on the roster, but they wouldn't actually be tied to any one specific team. Kinda like how the Miis were in Sluggers. And on that note, yes, the Miis would also return, working like they did in the previous game. Very basic stats, but they get chemistry based on their favorite color. If you're wondering how long I've had this video on the back burner, the original script had a joke about whether or not Nintendo would ever make a sequel to Tomodachi Life. Like I said last time, there should be a way to check what characters have negative chemistry with each other. My first thought would be a button to toggle between seeing the positive and negative chemistry on the character select screen, but you could also have a separate screen for viewing it, perhaps in the records section, maybe some big character compendium where you can see all the players and what relationships they have. With all that said, we have finally finished up the roster. There were plenty of characters that I considered including, but decided against it because, with the roster I currently have, there's a nice round 120 characters, 121 counting the Miis. Before we head into stages, let's real quick talk about error items. At first I wasn't going to bother, but I did eventually start brainstorming a couple. Boomerang Flower throws out a boomerang that, just like the Koopa Shell item, goes in a straightforward line, except for the fact that boomerang's back. Rotten Mushroom. Once this is tossed out onto the field, it'll constantly chase down the currently selected fielder. Doesn't have any wacky effects if it hits, it just knocks him down. Baboom acts as a sort of landmine-esque trap, where once it arms itself, it'll only explode if someone gets too close to it. Shrinking Virus creates a circle on the ground, and if any fielder comes in contact with it, they shrink temporarily, giving them reduced mobility and reach. Those are the only ones I came up with for this video. If you have any more ideas, I'd love to hear them, but for now, I'm going to move on to stages. In the last video, I was afraid of making stages where the hazards were too intrusive. As a result, I kinda went too far in the other direction and made a lot of the stage hazards pretty boring. The thing is, there was such an obvious solution that I didn't even think of. Just allow stage hazards to be toggleable. Much like how every stage in Smash Bros has an Omega Final Destination form, every stage in this game will have a hazardless basic form. This should also make the competitive matches a bit more fun to watch, seeing as there's more variety in scenery now. There's 12 fields to play on. Every field has a day and night variant. However, unlike in Sluggers, there's no difference in gameplay between day and night. It's purely visual. Some stages will also default to nighttime. To note which stages default to daytime and which default to nighttime, I'm going to have one of these icons up in the corner of the screen while talking about the field. Not only will I talk about each field and its hazards, but I'll also talk about the minigame connected to each field as well. Also, sorry if some of the art that you're about to see is a bit crude, I rushed it a little bit. The first stage is, innocently enough, Mario Stadium, a beautiful beachside baseball field with a lovely ocean view. No frills, no gimmicks, no hazards, it's Mario Stadium. And the minigame is once again Bob-omb Derby. Hit bob-ombs into the air as a pitching machine shoots them out at you at varying speeds. Here we have Peach's Music Gardens, half garden, half concert hall. Visually, I was aiming for it to look somewhere between Peach's Garden from Mario Golf World Tour and, of all things, the Melodic Gardens from Mario Rabbids 2. The gimmick of this field is these little horn flowers that would play a note which gives different effects. Kinda like the flowers in DK Jungle and Mario Sluggers. Unlike those flowers though, these ones would be able to switch between the two effects. They'd turn blue when they're going to give a speed buff, and they'd turn red when they're going to stun you. React accordingly, it could be the difference between winning and losing. The minigame here would be Wall Ball, working as it always has. Charge up a pitch to hit as many brick walls as you can to earn points, but don't hit the Bowser walls. Yoshi Park once again gets an aesthetic change. I tried to give it an arts and crafts vibe to match the newer Yoshi games. Changing it to nighttime would make the background look like it was painted to look like nighttime. It would still probably retain some of its theme park elements, but I didn't include that in the drawing here. The hazard would be the same old piranha plants as it's always been. Get too close and they'll try and take a snip. The minigame here is a new version of Piranha Panic, probably more akin to how it was in Mario Sluggers, where you have to aim pitches depending on where the piranha plants are holding their heads. Another game, another version of DK Jungle. The first one was a simple jungle, the second one looked like it took place in a temple, so this third one I tried to make look more like a Waterfall Valley area. Not a full-on beach stage, that's still Mario Stadium's wheelhouse. This would be more like something you'd see in Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. That's at least what I had in mind when drawing this. The hazard would once again be giant barrels that roll across the field. Don't stand in their way. Another returning minigame, it's Barrel Batter. Hit the ball with good timing to send it into barrel targets. I think it should be more like Superstar Baseball's version, where it has a puzzle game element almost. Except maybe they should balance the point distribution so that hitting the explosive barrel is not the only way to win the minigame. As for Wario's field, I feel like Wario Shipyard is a cool way to keep things within the realm of the Mario series, while still giving it a bit of that Wario Land pirate flair. This field would take place on one of the pirate ships, which would not only look cool, I feel, it would also mean the gimmick is the ship rocking back and forth, which would obviously make fielding a little more difficult. There are also these grates on the floor of the ship, which would flip open and reveal these fish that drop on the deck and flop around like they desire nautical nonsense. On its nighttime setting, this field would have the same stormy weather atmosphere as the Mario Kart stage that inspired it, but in the daytime the weather chills out a little bit. The minigame here is called Cannon Arm. It works a lot like the Superstar Baseball version of Piranha Panic, or Ghost K in Mario Sluggers. The players have to aim their pitches so that they can hit color-coded targets floating by in the water. Every so often an enemy pirate ship floats by, which not only gives a lot more points if you destroy, but fires attacks that you need to duck out of the way of. Pauline's field is New Donk City. No surprises there. The gimmick could either take a page from Wario City, these arrow signs on the ground that move the ball in different directions, and manhole covers that spew water, or it could have something to do with these fire hydrants. Perhaps they could periodically spray out water that would push fielders back. And yes, even though this stage defaults to daytime, if you switch to nighttime, the aesthetic becomes that of the now iconic New Donk City Festival. Heck, this might be the only stage that becomes more lively at nighttime. The minigame here is called Field Day Parade. 4 players run around trying to collect coins, regional coins, and even power moons, as they scramble to collect as many points as they can. You'd use the fielding controls here, running and jumping, but no attacking. You would be able to pick up and use power-ups to try and give yourself an advantage. Those are the fields you start the game with. Everyone from here on out is unlockable, starting with King Boo's domain, the Last Resort Hotel. To unlock this field, you need to beat King Boo's team in a game with Luigi as your team captain. The field would most likely be set right outside the hotel in the front gates. There's probably some way for it to take place on the inside, but I don't know. The hazard would be very similar to the Luigi's Mansion field in Sluggers. A bunch of ghosts pop out to stun the fielders. This also allows for a bunch of the other ghost designs to show up as non-playable cameo characters. While this stage, as you would expect, is set to nighttime by default, setting it to daytime has the hotel appear in its more clean and glitzy appearance that you see in the prologue to Luigi's Mansion 3. The minigame here is Spectre Deflector. It plays a little bit like a top-down shooter. You have to run around and throw baseballs at the oncoming ghost enemies. The minigame doesn't end until you've either beaten a stage boss or lost all your health. Although there's also an endless mode where stage bosses only mark the ending of a wave. The Comet Observatory is Rosalina's field. If done right, it would definitely be the coolest looking field in the game. Probably not pictured here. The unlock criteria here would be to use 20 team stars throughout your time with the game. Anytime you use a team star, it counts. While the nighttime version of the stage would show you the starry cosmos, the daytime version would show a cloudy blue sky, something you'd see in Mario Galaxy 2's map screens. I still don't entirely know what I'd want the gimmick for this stage to be. Probably something involving the gravity changing the course of the ball. I'd imagine it like the tornado things in Wario Palace. What I do know is that this field's minigame would be called Base Runner's Orbit. It's a base running minigame working exactly like Chain Chomp Sprint. Run between the bases collecting falling star bits, and make sure to pause whenever Dino Piranha wakes up. Anyone who's still moving when he wakes up gets knocked out. As if it needs to be said, Bowser's Field is Bowser's Castle. The aesthetic and hazards here are pretty much exactly what you'd expect. Fireballs that jump up out of these grates, and this Bowser statue that will occasionally breathe fire at the fielders. The minigame here is once again Bowser's Pinball. Working exactly like it does in Sluggers, you hit the ball in order to hit objects in the environment to get points. In Sluggers, there were 9 fields, 6 for the main captains, and 3 for co-captains. Luigi, Daisy, and Bowser Jr. to be exact. Here I decided to give fields to the other 3 of the veteran co-captains. Starting with Birdo's Crystal Cave, the unlock criteria for this field would be finding a special gem hidden somewhere in the challenge mode. This underground cave is full of colorful crystals and falling stalactites. If it looks like one is about to fall, you'd best get out of the way. Admittedly, I'm having a hard time figuring out how a cave would have day and night variants. Perhaps at nighttime, the crystals would glow a more vibrant color. The minigame here is Gem Catch. Just like in Mario Sluggers, the player would have to catch gems being fired out of a cannon before they hit the ground. The next field is Diddy Kong's Fossil Canyon, and you unlock this one once all of the playable Kongs have been unlocked. This mountainside canyon, surrounded by dinosaur bones, is mostly inspired off of the mountaintop levels in Donkey Kong Country Returns, while adding in a little bit of Dino Jungle from Mario Kart Double Dash, a teeny bit of Fossil Falls from Odyssey, but definitely a little bit of Diddy Kong Racing's Dino Domain in there as well. The hazard here is that every now and again the field would get splatters of tar, which slow down the fielders. This field's minigame is called Boulder Dash. Run back and forth between 2 points to avoid getting hit by rocks and boulders. You would use the buttons for base running in order to move back and forth, and on higher difficulties, the hazards would not only get bigger, but a lot more frequent as well. Lastly is a field for Waluigi, and of course I chose a game show. Welcome to Waluigi's Wonder Wheel. To unlock this field, you'd need to beat the minigame on all 6 of the default fields as Waluigi. Doesn't matter what difficulty, you just need to beat it at least once. The gimmick here is that if the ball hits one of these big purple switches, it'll activate the wheel on the stage. Whatever the wheel lands on will activate a corresponding hazard during the next play. The Chain Chomp and Bullet Bill work like they do in Bowser Jr.'s Playroom in Sluggers, moving around the field and damaging anyone they run into. The Banana Peel will leave giant banana peels all over the field, which the fielders would of course slip on if they ran into them, and the Mushroom would leave mushrooms around on the field, which would actually give the fielders a speed buff. Not every one of the hazards is beneficial to the offense player. This field's minigame is called Lightning Round. Players have to run around and platform on an obstacle course, scrambling to collect as many coins as they can before the stage ends. Kinda like that one minigame in Mario Party 9. Last thing I'll say about stages before I move on is talking about the stage select screen. Visually, it would look like a sports broadcast screen, kind of like Superstar Baseball, but leaning a bit more into the televised look. But, like Super Sluggers, it would show you the whole baseball kingdom. There'd be a little selector bar down below, and highlighting a stage would cause a preview image of it to appear around the same area it would actually be located on the baseball kingdom. Now it's time to talk about challenge mode. This might take a little while, but that's okay, it's not like the video's been going on for that long. I mean, how long has this video been going on for anyway?
Oh no!
As I said, challenge mode would take on the more Mario Sluggers approach of being a full-blown story mode. You run around a series of overworlds, completing puzzles, and competing in missions to both recruit new players and defeat enemies. I could see it retaining the top-down camera view, but in addition to being able to walk around and interact with things, you would also be able to jump and attack as if you were in fielding controls. This way you could spice up the adventure mode with a little bit of light platforming and combat, probably against enemies that aren't already playable. There wouldn't be lives or a health bar or anything. The worst that would happen is that you'd lose some coins if you got attacked by an enemy or missed a jump. I'm actually kind of imagining it like the adventure mode in Crash Tag Team Racing, where this kart racer randomly decided it wanted to be a 3D platformer. The difference here, of course, is that the platforming would not take precedent over playing baseball in Mario Baseball. It'd just be a way to get from challenge to challenge that's more interesting than simply walking to it. Just like Sluggers, all of the main captains besides Bowser would be playable in the overworld, and you would unlock each of them throughout the story. Each of the captains would also, of course, have an ability that's used for progression. Mario could throw fireballs, which can not only be used to attack enemies, but could also melt ice, burn flammable objects, or even light up dark areas. Peach could hover over gaps that other characters can't cross, Yoshi could use his ground pound, DK could climb vines, Wario could move or break heavy objects, Pauline could throw her hat like a boomerang, which could be used to grab faraway objects, King Boo could turn invisible or phase through walls, and Rosalina could use her magic for context-sensitive puzzles. Just like in Sluggers, each of the stadiums is an explorable area with a self-contained story about the chaos Bowser and his minions are causing. However, instead of Bowser Jr. always being the culprit, he's only hanging around Mario Stadium, with the 7 other areas being taken over by one of the 7 Koopalings. At the end of each stadium's little story, you'd have to play a short game against a team full of bad guys, and that team would usually be captained by one of the 7 Koopalings. Starting to see why I didn't just make them teammates on Bowser's team? The structure of the map is also different. Instead of being able to go to any stadium in any order you want like in Sluggers, the stadiums here would be divided into one of 3 areas, with areas 1 and 2 having 2 stadiums, and area 3 having 3 stadiums. Now you'd only need to complete the story for one stadium to move on to the next area, but if you want to recruit all the characters and get the 100% ending, you're obviously going to need to visit all the stadiums. Structuring the adventure like this would allow for the other captains to shine outside of their own fields, unlike before where, because the game had to account for you not having every captain available at all times, they were only useful outside of their own fields for optional recruits. For example, Area 1 houses both Peach's Music Garden and Yoshi Park, while Area 2 has DK Jungle and Wario Shipyard. DK Jungle might need you to have Peach so she can float over gaps Mario can't, but Wario Shipyard might require Yoshi's ground pound to break through unstable walkways. So if you only had Peach with you, you wouldn't be able to progress that far in Wario Shipyard unless you went back and got Yoshi. I know that these are pretty simple examples, but I think you get the picture. Another benefit of this structure would be a more natural difficulty curve. If challenge mode is basically going to be a tool to teach new players how to play the game, then the earlier areas could ease players in with the basics, before later areas start making things more complicated, teaching them more advanced baseball techniques, character-specific abilities, buddy moves, and even stuff like how error items and stage hazards work. The story would involve Mario and co. traveling to the baseball kingdom for baseball season. While out one day minding his own business, Mario encounters this strange music note-shaped pixie. This is Buddy. He explains that he's one of the 5 guardian spirits who watch over the baseball kingdom, and that he ran away from a spiky fire-breathing monster who's hunting for the spirits, and has already captured one of them named Homer. Mario, being the hero that he is, doesn't hesitate to help, and he and Buddy head off to Mario Stadium to see if they can recruit some help to defeat Bowser. When you start out in challenge mode, you have to complete the story in Mario Stadium before you can go anywhere else. So why don't we do that now? When Mario and Buddy arrive at the stadium, Lakitu is there to greet them. Things aren't great, as Lakitu explains that Bowser's troops showed up and started causing havoc. Most of the teammates ran and hid when Bowser Jr. showed up, but a couple of them got captured, chiefly Luigi, who Bowser Jr. and his troops are holding in the center of the stadium. On the whole, the areas you explore are going to be bigger than they were in Sluggers. That's to be expected when you jump a couple console generations ahead. Like in Sluggers, Mario Stadium starts you out on this little beachside area. However, unlike in Sluggers, there's stuff to explore inside the stadium as well. Mario and Co make their way through the area, recruiting teammates and solving puzzles, before being stopped along the way by King Bob-omb, who would probably force you to play around a Bob-omb derby. Afterwards, King Bob-omb is so impressed by your demolition skills, he actually joins you on your crusade to defeat Bowser. Eventually, Mario makes it to the center of the stadium, where he has to compete in a baseball game against Bowser Jr.'s team, which he inevitably wins, saving Luigi in the process. We find out from Bowser Jr. that the reason he and his team captured Luigi was to try and interrogate him on the whereabouts of the other spirits. See, the spirits have some kind of power that can increase a baseball player's skills, and Bowser wants to use that power to make his team the best baseball players in the kingdom, eventually leading him to take over the world. Don't question it, he's already told like 3 other naysayers that it's a foolproof plan. Once Junior and his forces leave, we find out that the spirit they were after, named Splitter, was actually hiding in Luigi's hat this whole time. With Luigi and Splitter in tow, the quest to defeat Bowser and save the baseball kingdom can finally begin for real. Since the structure of the map allows me to talk about the characters' fields in the order that I talked about their team rosters, that's what I'm going to do, starting with Peach. Peach's music garden is under attack by Larry, who's using the music of the garden to put the players to sleep, including Peach herself. Fortunately, not everyone has been put under the spell, including Toadette, who greets you early on into the garden. As you explore the gardens, you'd be able to see some of the other players, but not interact with them or do their scout missions because they'd be asleep. You'd soon run into Daisy, who explains that if you can find the key to the orchestra pit, you could shut off the music and wake everyone up. The key isn't too hard to find, but once you do find it, Nabbit shows up and swipes the key away, leading to you having to chase him to get it back. The chase leads to you cornering Nabbit in a supposed dead end, only for Petey Piranha to show up and eat Nabbit. The player defeats Petey in a challenge and he spits out Nabbit and the key. They both decide to join the player's team because, hey, what else is there to do around here? Get into the orchestra pit, challenge Larry, and save the princess. Once you defeat Larry and wake all of the other players up, you can go around recruiting them to your team. In Yoshi Park, Lemmy and the Magic Koopas are using the amusement park as a means to brainwash the Shy Guys into capturing all of the babies. That sounds so weird out of context. Early on you'd run into Yoshi, who of course wants to defeat Lemmy, so you'd travel around the amusement park, not only freeing the Shy Guys from their mind control through scout missions, but also saving the kids. After making it through all of the rides, probably clearing out some piranha plants along the way, you'd make it to Lemmy, who as it turns out has also brainwashed Birdo to be on his team. Of course, you drive the bad guys out of the park and free Birdo from mind control. Now, like I said, once you complete one of these 2 parks, the option to go on to Area 2 will open up. If you choose that option, it triggers a story event. The heroes run into another one of the spirits, this one named Fly, but before they can come with us, they get captured by Mecha Bowser. That's right, there's boss fights in the story. Choose one of your recruited players and fight. The fight with Mecha Bowser takes place in an arena that looks like the one where you fight him in Mario Power Tennis. You're running around in the fielding controls, dodging Mecha Bowser's onslaught of fireballs, bullet bills, bombs, and various other artilleries. Eventually, Mecha shoots a fireball that cools down and becomes a rock, or maybe it would be a dud bomb. You'd have to run over to it and pick it up. When you do, you'll enter a pitching stance, where you have to charge up enough strength to throw the ball into a weak point on the robot's body. Do that enough times, and you'll take him down. With him out of the way, we save Fly, procuring a 3rd spirit, and move on to Area 2, where we can go to either DK Jungle or Wario Shipyard. We'll start with DK Jungle. We arrive to find that Iggy is causing havoc, but he's not alone. The Kremlings are back in the jungle, and once again they're causing trouble for the Kongs. Mario and the gang run into DK, who wants the heroes' help to round up the other Kongs and defeat the Kremlings, go around the jungle and save the other Kongs, who have been imprisoned by the four-colored critters, and eventually run into Diddy Kong, who's trying his best to defeat K. Rool, but could definitely use a hand right now. Soon enough, you have a match against Iggy's team, which, in addition to the normal Bowser teammates, also has help from K. Rool and his henchmen. After the match, Iggy and his crew ditch the Kremlings as they make a hasty retreat. K. Rool, enraged that Bowser's henchmen would abandon him like that, joins the player and hopes to get his revenge. Entering into Wario Shipyard, Mario and Co arrive at a shady-looking portside town. Everything seems quiet at first, until the gang are attacked by a pirate ship run by Captain Syrup. This initiates a chase scene where you have to run away from the ship and its barrage of cannon fire. The chase leads Mario and friends to stumble upon Wario and Mona, who explain that Captain Syrup, with the help of Roy Koopa, has been terrorizing the field for a little while now. Mona suggests that she and Wario team up with the heroes in order to stop the pirates, but Wario isn't having it, and runs off to go look for help elsewhere. Mona still decides to join up with Mario, and asks if he could help her find her other friends, so you'd set off helping and recruiting other members of the WarioWare gang. There could be a bit where Mario and Luigi, even if they don't talk, are taken aback by how people who call themselves Wario's friends are actually pretty amicable and chill people. Also, in this park, you could find a treasure chest containing the special gem that unlocks Birdo's Crystal Cave. Eventually, you meet up with Waluigi, who offers to help and leads you to his base of operations so you can come up with a plan. But when you get there, it turns out it was a trap. Waluigi is working with Captain Syrup in hopes of getting paid a hefty sum of coins, and totally not because he's attracted to her. What would give you that idea? He dumps the heroes down a trapdoor where they end up in a little dungeon cell right next to Wario. Having no other options, Wario finally concedes and decides to join the heroes' team, with a little extra convincing from his friends. The heroes escape from the dungeon, probably running into some other captured teammates as well, and make their way to finally put an end to Roy's scheme. The game against Roy's team has both Captain Syrup and Waluigi helping him out, but after beating Roy's team, he and Captain Syrup decide to split, leaving Waluigi to take the fall for everything. Of course, everyone forgives Waluigi, and he joins the team. While the story is complete, if you go back to Waluigi's base, you can find Captain Syrup there and recruit her to your team. After making it through the second area, the heroes stumble upon the fourth spirit, Blitz, already in Bowser's grasp. Bowser was already able to find the spirit while the heroes were too busy dealing with all of his, hired help, so to speak. He makes off with Blitz and leaves the heroes to fight the next boss, Wingo. Remember Wingo? He's back, in baseball form. His fight takes place on a huge tower high in the sky, just like in the original game. You'd have the base running controls, and you'd have to run between the four bases in order to dodge Wingo's barrage of attacks. He'd shoot feathers that you'd have to weave between, fire a homing magic shot that you'd have to run away from until it fades away, and eventually he'd try to slam down onto you from above. Slamming the ground leaves Wingo stunned, at which point you have to run up to him. When you reach him, you do a close play in order to do damage. Do that enough times and you'll eventually send Wingo back into retirement. With Bowser already having captured Homer and Blitz, our only option is to head to his castle and rescue them ourselves. But to make it to Bowser's castle, we'll have to make it through Area 3, which contains New Donk City, the Last Resort Hotel, and the Comet Observatory. The power to New Donk City has been cut, and Pauline teams up with the player in order to get it back. Like with Wario City previously, there are certain regions of New Donk that you won't be able to get to until you restore power to them. You'll be going all over, from the streets to the rooftops to even the underground tunnels of New Donk. And of course, the whole time there'll be different teammates to recruit along the way. Once all the regions of the city get their power back, the lights turn to a stage in the middle of town. And up on stage is Wendy Koopa. She wanted to be star of the show, so she set up this whole ploy to get Mario up on stage with her, so everyone could see her defeat him. And on top of all that, she's even holding Cappy hostage. Defeat Wendy's team in a game and save Cappy. When our heroes enter the Last Resort Hotel, everything seems calm and friendly at first. But it's not long before they get attacked by a horde of ghosts. Our heroes try to fight back, but the ghosts' illusions and magic make that difficult. Fortunately, Professor Egad shows up just in the nick of time, dispelling the ghosts' magic with his new and improved Gad light. Egad explains that he was minding his own business, studying in his lab, when the surrounding area suddenly darkened. He sent Luigi and Polterpup to go investigate, but neither of them ended up coming back. He gives us the Gadlight and tasks us with going into the hotel to see if we can find the missing research party, so we explore the dark hallways of the Last Resort, using the Gadlight to break through any illusions we encounter. And of course, there's plenty of ghosts who will challenge us to different missions. Eventually, we do find what happened to Polterpup and Luigi. Turns out the ghosts lured poor Luigi onto a platform, and then turned on a pipe that surrounded the platform in water. Polterpup couldn't turn the tap off considering he doesn't have hands, so he stayed here to protect Luigi from any other ghosts that would show up. After helping the two of them out, we recruit both of them and head back to Egad, who also joins our party. We then use the key that Luigi found and make it to the top of the hotel to confront King Boo. Surprise, surprise, he's working with Morton Koopa. Lakitu tries to warn King Boo that Bowser's henchmen will just betray him like the other villains they teamed up with, but King Boo doesn't listen, so we have to fight him alongside the rest of Morton's team. After the game, Morton bails, just like Lakitu predicted, and King Boo, not one to be backstabbed like that, decides to come with us to stop Bowser. After you defeat Morton, you can go back into the hotel and find Helen Gravely, who you can recruit once King Boo has joined your team. There could also probably be some kind of side quest you can do for Morty in order to recruit him to your team as well. Area 3 of the Baseball Kingdom would have a launch star on the map, and using that would shoot you up into space and land you on the Comet Observatory. Ludwig and his followers are kidnapping the baby Lumas and holding them hostage, so we team up with Rosalina in order to save the Lumas, while Lubba keeps track of the observatory himself. Lubba would only join your team after you'd saved all of the Lumas. This stadium would see you launching yourself between different planets and asteroids as you continue trying to climb higher and higher up the Comet Observatory, all the while fighting bad guys and recruiting teammates. The planets could have different environments such as a grassy field, a volcano, or even an ice planet. Eventually, you launch yourself to the very top of the Comet Observatory, where you confront Ludwig. Do I even need to say how the fight goes at this point? Once you clear at least one of the fields from Area 3, you can move on to Bowser's Castle. Bowser's Castle itself isn't a full level, rather it's just a gauntlet of challenges and puzzles as you make your way up to the Bowser monsters for one final game. Once you get there, you find that Bowser's team has been powered up in both speed and batting power, because they've been taking the power from Blitz and Homer in order to amp themselves up. But thanks to Splitter and Fly giving you some power, your team's pitching and fielding are powered up for this next game. It's your choice of 9 players versus Bowser, Bowser Jr., and all 7 Koopalings on one team. Beat Bowser and his team in the final game, and that's it. Mario and his friends save the spirits, and then go off to have their own baseball game without having to worry about any evil schemes. But that's only if you haven't recruited all the characters yet. You'd get some kind of Crash Bandicoot-esque any percent ending, where the day is saved, but the villains still have some kind of backup plan. If you have every recruitable character on your roster and then beat Bowser's team, that's how you get the true ending. While everyone is celebrating their victory over the bad guys, Bowser gets up and swipes all the spirits away, except for Buddy, and he uses the power of the spirits to turn into his typical final boss Ultimate Bowser form, which you of course have a final battle with. The final battle with Bowser would have him utilize all of the spirits' powers in his attacks. He'd throw magic fireballs, swing a bat that sends fire out, do dash attacks, and send out flaming shockwaves. You would once again have fielding controls in order to avoid Bowser's attacks, but instead of pitching like with Mecha Bowser, the way you do damage is by batting. At some point during the fight, maybe after the player grabs some kind of power-up, Bowser would try and shoot a big fireball that they'd have to bat back at him. After enough hits, the second phase begins. Powering himself up even further, all of Bowser's attacks get amped up. His fireballs get bigger, his bat swings and dash attacks have farther range, and he sends out more shockwaves at once. Grab the bat, hit Bowser's fireball back at him, and it doesn't do anything. Bowser is completely invincible, no matter how much you attack him. When all hope seems lost, suddenly, Buddy starts glowing with a special energy. The energy of everyone having come together has given the spirit of chemistry a special power, and he uses that power to help the heroes defeat Bowser. Yes, the power of friendship saves the day. Cheesy as hell? Absolutely. But it is a Mario sports spin-off after all. Suddenly, characters with chemistry to your current player get teleported into the arena, and they help you hit Bowser using buddy moves. Now as you dodge Bowser's attacks, you'll have to team up to throw a buddy toss directly into him, or buddy jump off of one of your friends to stomp on Bowser. After enough hits, Bowser finally goes down. The spirits are saved, and they decide to join Mario and friends for a celebratory baseball game. They even let Bowser and his henchmen join the party. You'd unlock Bowser's team to play as in challenge mode, but I can't imagine there'd be terribly much left to do around here. The real reward would be unlocking all 5 of the spirits as playable characters, each pretty much maxed out in whatever their corresponding stat is. Once again, I find myself having rambled on about a hypothetical Mario sports spin-off for way longer than I probably should have. what can I say, when I fixate on stuff like this, I kinda have to talk about it. So, for anyone who actually managed to get this far in the video, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. As for me, I'm assuming that by the time this video goes up, I'll be a little bit Mario baseballed out. I'll probably get the itch to talk about these games again someday in the future, but I don't think I'll need to make another video like this anytime soon. So, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time for whatever I do next time.